Okay, so I just did myself an awesome favor and I bought myself some upgradables for my BMW F850GS. So the first thing I did was I got myself a USB waterproof, well I suppose it's very water resistant, as waterproof as possible, adapter for the lighter, so that's looking pretty awesome. Then it looks blingy, but I think it makes sense, is shablam! It's upside down. Shablam! Look at that. And that is supposed to go onto the footrest for the bike, so the stand for the bike, to give it a bigger footprint. And then your bike shouldn't slip into the sand or fall over so easily on wet surfaces or loose surfaces. So we've got that guy. So we're going to install that, see how it goes. And then the next item is shablam. We have got ourselves a windscreen extension or deflector. So we're going to put that on the bike and see if that helps with the buffeting at high speed and those kind of things. So we're going to install that. So we have these three items to try out and install. So let's get going. Okay, so my understanding is that my USB device just needs to go into that slot. So let's go ahead and do that. So go ahead. That's quite a tight fit, which I suppose is good. And it goes, get that out the way. Okay, that is in. It feels like it's in pretty solid. It looks pretty good. So now I can connect from the charger here in theory to where I keep my 360 camera, and I can keep that operational all the time. So let's see if this unit powers up. I suppose we need the bike on, so let's turn the bike on first. Oh, check it out. Wow, you can see my battery's quite flat already. If I leave that plugged in, okay, I suppose we better turn the heater grips off as well. That might help. Okay, I think the heater grips only work when the bike's running anyway. So here's our USB charging thingy jobby. Gives us a good voltage on the battery. What does this button do? Does that turn off the device? Or just the display? Okay, I think we're gonna have to plug something in here, but let's first turn off the ignition and see what happens here. So turning off the ignition, bike is off. Okay, and the USB is still on. So that means, like, if I go somewhere and I wanted to charge something while I was away, I could just leave it plugged in, which is pretty rad. And if I turn it off, does it take a while for it to come back on? Can I turn it back on straight away? I can. Okay, I'm going to time it. So I'm going to take the load off and then see how long it takes for the bike to turn that load off. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a USB cable and let's try and charge my cell phone. I'm going to try and charge my cell phone off that as well, and then see how long that stays on for. Because in theory, you wouldn't want it to flatten the bike's battery, but you do want to charge your stuff. Let's check it out. Okay, so we are back. The device is off. You cannot turn it on again. It was about 2 minutes since we turned the device off itself. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the ignition to turn on the device again. And what I decided to do was to bring out my Insta360. So there's my Insta360, and I'm going to plug that into the charger. There we go. So that's now charging. There we go, the little lights on. This is the setup that I want to try and use. So we're going to try and do this setup for our next recording, and hopefully the wire doesn't get too much in the way. But I'm going to turn off the bike because I don't want the bike's electronics running. So the bike's electronics off. That USB is now on. So it turned off after about a minute or two with zero load. So I'm going to come back in kind of 2-3 minutes time, maybe 5 minutes time, and see if this is still charging or if the bike turned it off because it picked up that the battery's getting too flat or what. But we're going to find out now but my understanding is that this connector should stay on as long as there's a load, as long as the bike's battery doesn't get too flat. So let's see how that goes. A question that I wanted to ask the community is, do you guys leave your DIN accessory plugged in like this? Has somebody stolen it if you left it in place? Because obviously there's nothing keeping it in place. Nobody can use the power of the bike because the ignition's off and there's no load, so it turns off the load. How do you guys handle that? Do you guys unplug the device? Do you put it away, or do you only use the device when you're using the bike? I'd really love to know how you guys are using it. Thanks. Alright, it's been a couple of minutes and that's still charging. We're still on we're on 11.8 volts, so I think we're still good for now. It's not exactly the healthiest battery in the world, but it's not the worst. Okay, so I want to go ahead and install my bling bling. So this is for the kickstand. So we're going to go ahead and install this now. It looks like it's just these 3 cap screw bolts, and on it goes. Included in it was like a little round sticker. I'm not sure what the little round sticker is for. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing with that, and there's no instructions, so it's very, very unclear if there's something else I should be doing. But anyway, let's go ahead and install this on the kickstand. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take those 3 bolts partially out, and let's see how we do. Alright, cool. So it slides over the stand. Let me see if I can show you how it slid over the stand. I didn't take them out all the way. I just took them out partially, just so I could get it started. So this just literally slides over the kickstand like so, and then I'm going to tighten those 3 cap screws up again. So let me tighten them up quickly. Okay, I feel like those cap screws tightened up really well, so I'm not going to go ahead and add any thread lock. If you want to, you can add thread lock. What I will do is I'll mark the bolts next, so let me go get some marked bolts. Okay, so I was hoping for white or something a little bit more obvious, but you can still see very clearly with the black what that looks like. And that looks pretty good. Let's make sure it doesn't interfere with the frame. There we go, it's completely out the way. Very pretty, nice bling bling. Very, very cool. So that's installed. Let's go and have a look and see what's happening with the USB again. Okay, the USB is still charging, but I'm going to go ahead and take that off charge now because I think that battery is quite low. I mean, a nominal voltage for 12 volt battery is like 14 something. This thing's down to 11.7, so it's very, very compromised my BMW's battery at the moment, so I'm going to stop the process. But the USB looks awesome, and my widened kickstand looks awesome. Okay, so this is the deflector that I bought for the bike. It might be bigger than what's necessary, but I can always laser cut my own size if this doesn't quite fit. But let's try and get it to fit and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble the brackets, and then I'll come back when I know what's happening. Okay, so I'm super chuffed with this windscreen deflector. It fits really, really well. It fits on the screen. It's nice and wide, so it should cover my whole body when I want to use it and those kind of things. If I put the screen in the lowest setting, now the screen's kind of the same height as it would have been if it had high on. Then this then increases the height, of course, and then I've got all this adjustability. Look at that, infinitely adjustable. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to deflect kind of up a little bit. I'm not going to deflect much, and then I'll test it, and then, you know, see what it's like at highway speeds and whatnot. From an installation perspective, it wasn't bad to install. The instructions are Chinese and crap as always, but the installation itself wasn't too bad. I'm just going to lock everything in place and then I'll show you how stiff everything is. Before I do that, a couple of comments. These brackets here are metal, so they don't muck around with the bracket going onto the screen, and then everything else is plastic, but that looks pretty decent. Cool, so this is how I'm going to try the screen for the first time. It's just a tad higher than the normal screen, and I just want to see if it gets the wind out of my face and those kind of things. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it low and just deflect it forward a bit and see if that gets it over my head. If not, then I'm going to raise it from there. But I figured I'd start in the lowest position to start with. Anyway, those are my 3 upgrades. I'll test them and then I'll provide some feedback later on. So the 3 upgrades were, we have the DIN USB charger, we have our very cool kickstand extension so that it doesn't go into holes and sand so easy, so it's got a bigger footprint. And then of course the last upgrade, our wind deflector. So I'll test these out and I'll provide some feedback at some point. Hope you enjoyed it. Cheers, bye.